JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So if you're watching this video, you're probably going to say, you know what, I'm just not that good with numbers. So the one thing I want you to do right now is trust me through this process. Don't get ahead of yourself in determining what all your questions are. So just relax. We're going to walk through this gross receipts test. But the first thing I want you to relax on is we're just figuring out what percentage are the gross receipts down by. This isn't a video to tell you about ERTC and the EIDL grant and targeted grant and what percentages they need to be down by. So don't get ahead of yourself. And the other thing is, as you can see, I've got periods in here, 19 and 20 and quarters and a prior period and a current period. I'm just giving you examples because here's the thing. For those of you that you verbally can understand math better than when you see numbers, is you're doing this. What's the difference between the period that you're comparing to the current period? So the period of time you're trying to figure out, is it down compared to this prior period? You're just figuring out what the difference is. And then whatever that difference is, you're dividing it by the prior period. Huh? I got you, right? Because that sounded like a 5th grade story program. So let's put the numbers to it. So the first thing I want you to relax on is you're not trying to figure out why it says 19 and 21, because this is just an example. You're not trying to figure out why I'm doing quarters. You're not trying to figure out why I selected these dates. Because what we're trying to figure out only in this video is, if I'm trying to figure out if this prior period is down by whatever percentage in the current period that I'm comparing to, then this is where that example comes into play. So if I were to say, well, I want to compare first quarter 2021 to first quarter 2019. So what's the difference? $2,000. So 2,000 divided by 2019 is 20%. And when you say, wait a second, wait a second, what? Stop. All you're really wanting to make sure that you take away from this video is that whatever the difference is between what you're comparing to, you take the difference compared to the earlier period. So 19's earlier than 21. The difference is 2,000. If you're trying to figure out if from here to here it's down 20%, you take the difference divided by the period that you're comparing it to. And if you're still like, what? Take a screenshot of this, work through the math. Relax in the sense of all you're trying to figure out is the percentage down. Don't worry about EIDL or ERTC and is it 30% and blah, 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 blah. Okay? You're saying, here's the period I'm comparing to. So examples are as follows. So I'll let you just take a screenshot of this and work itself through. But if you can see second quarter, right? Well, second quarter isn't down at all. So there is no calculation, right? So visually, we know that second quarter is not down. Where'd you get these numbers, JJ? Out of thin air. Now, for third quarter, you take 21, because I'm just using this as an example, versus 2019, right? So this is the old quarter. So we're just trying to figure out, is the third quarter in 2021, is it down compared to 2019? Yes. What's it down by? Well, we take the difference, okay, 3,000. And then what's 3,000 divided by the period? That's the older period. And then it's 16.67%. How'd you get 16.67%? So literally on the calculator, you would make sure you hit clear, 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 clear. Make sure you've gotten all previous calculations out of there. And I'm talking about on a calculator, not on a 10 key here, but on a calculator on your phone, you would say 3,000 divided by 18,000 equals 16.67%. If we're then comparing fourth quarter, well, 14,000 versus 16,000 is $2,000. What's 2,000 divided by the period, the older period, was 12.5%. Now, I'm giving you an example down here because we could pick any period out of thin air. So here I picked a period of time that's 8 weeks. So the prior period that we're comparing to in the current period. So from 5/5 to 6/29, 2019, and if we're comparing the same time period in 2020. JJ, wait a second. Whoa, hang on. How come you're comparing 19 to 20? That's not what this video is about. The video is about how do you just determine the gross receipts reduction? How do you determine that? That's all we're trying to figure out. And sometimes when you're trying to figure out the math and the story problem of when the choo-choo train left Chicago and another choo-choo train left San Diego, and when do they cross paths if one... Stop. And I say that with all due respect, because if you're here to this video, you're going, you know what, JJ, thank you for this. So we just got to relax. Because I'm just comparing a period of time to a prior period of time. So all you do is figure out what's the difference of the prior period of time to the period of time that I want to compare it to. What's that difference? So if in 2019, this period of time, the gross receipts was $20,000, but in the future or current or the one that's after 2019, right? 2020, that's $8,000. So what's the difference? $12,000, right? So what's 12,000 divided by 20,000? Well, it's 60%. If you're still like, JJ, I still don't get it, then relax and just do this. Just do this. Make yourself a column. What's the older period? Okay. What's the period you're comparing to, right? So if you're comparing first quarter 19 to first quarter 2021 or whatever period, what's the difference? And then you're dividing that difference by the older period. 2,000 divided by 10,000 is 20%, so on and so forth. So you can just take a screenshot of this, and then those of you that are still frustrated, just grab somebody that maybe can just take a look at this with you, but hopefully this will help you out, figure out if your gross receipts are down a certain percentage. But remember, all we're trying to figure out is, well, what is the percentage that the gross receipts are down? And then compare it to, well, does it need to be 20%? Does it need to be 30% or whatever you're comparing to? Don't get caught up in what you're trying to do in terms of the 20% or 30%. You're just trying to figure out what percentage am I down? And then figure out if that's enough of a percentage to qualify for whatever it is. So I've got a link to some playlists in the body of this related to EIDL, the EIDL grant, and the Employee Retention Tax Credit. For those of you that might be trying to do this for the Employee Retention Tax Credit, I've got a playlist specific to this, and I also have a seminar that I've done and got an Excel spreadsheet that goes through that math with you, although I just gave you how to go about it. All right, hey, hopefully this helps. For those of you that needed this video, you've made it to here. If you're not a subscriber, I hopefully have provided some value to you. And then I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. Have a great one.